With all the fancy internet shooting that goes around nowadays, it's important to get back to basics, because basics are the building blocks of all the fancy cool stuff you see on the internet. There's really about like 5 or 6 main key basics that you need to focus on to become a good shooter. Now, for me, I'm just a good editor. Jump shot. I'll just clip it in. And that's what makes me look like I shoot really good. But for you, unless you can edit really well, you might need to learn the basics and get them pretty crisp. The first real and most important basic that you probably need to work on and learn is gonna be the stance. Without a good proper stance, you end up looking like this. If you study martial arts at all, you understand that the base, or your stance, is kind of where you derive all your power for striking. Now, for firearms, you don't necessarily need to generate power for punching or kicking. The bullet kind of does that for you. But a good stance is going to keep your weight lower. It's going to allow you to combat recoil much better, as well as it helps keep your shots on target. As crazy as that sounds, a good stance is going to be much more proactive for keeping good shot placement, as well as just good shooting mechanics in general. But what does a good stance look like? Well, there are some you can do and some you definitely shouldn't. Something like this, where your feet are kind of close together and you're leaning back or leaning too far forward, not the route I would suggest. Personally, for me, and what I think you should practice, is more of a fighting stance. Shoulder width apart with your feet, one foot slides back, preferably your dominant foot on the same side that your dominant arm is, and then you just kind of settle in. Dig down with your knees a little bit, put more weight on your toes, and kind of lean slightly forward. Now, the reason I suggest this over an isosceles stance is, well, in an isosceles stance, to combat forces pushing you backwards when your feet are square, you have to lean forward. For this stance, to combat forces that are pushing you back, just get a little lower, because your foot is planted kind of like a kickstand, but still springy and able to move. The second thing that you should probably work on, and the second most important basic, is going to be the draw or the presentation with a rifle. The reason it's so important to get a good presentation or draw and really master that skill is because that's the time in between gun not shooting thing that you need to shoot and gun shooting thing that you need to shoot. It's very important, especially if thing needing to shoot is wearing a red coat. The most important thing about the presentation is being able to get it up quickly and efficiently.
That's what she said.
I know it sounds redundant, but the best way to perfect this skill is to do it over and over. I know, it sounds dumb. It sounds like, of course, everyone knows that, but not everyone knows that. Not everyone does. Watch yourself in the mirror or record yourself. It works for both improving your skill set in the bedroom as well as out on the range. Watching yourself really allows you to tighten up those movements. That way you can see if you're swooping down or if you're raising the gun too high up, leaning to one side or the other. It allows you to find those little details and fine-tune them and eliminate them so you can have good economy of motion. One way to escalate your presentation or your draw to make it that much better and really push yourself is to start timing yourself. Either get a shot timer or a friend. I know those are hard to come by. I'm still trying to find one too. But really start pushing the limit with how fast you can get it up there, safely of course, because safety is number 2 on the list and looking cool and having fun is number 1. Never forget that. Number 3 is going to be the reload. That's the mechanic that really proves if you're an online special forces high-speed operator. Being able to reload quickly is not only efficient for both real life, but the internet swag points as well. The 2 types of reloads that you should focus on primarily are going to be the emergency reload and the tactical reload, because it's so tactical. It's just what it's called. Get over it. First, the emergency reload. You ran out of spicy paintballs and the gun no go bang no more. No more ammo, gun no bang no more. It's science. So from here, what you do is you just simply yeet this mag into the ground as you bring up a new magazine, insert in, drop your bolt or rack your charging handle if you're a Neanderthal, and then get back to work. There's a few different ways to run the emergency reload. You can either A, just keep it in your shoulder, or B, you can break it into your workspace, whichever is gonna be the most comfortable and efficient for you. That's the most important thing. What are you gonna be the most efficient and consistent at? Some people will tell you to keep it up here all the time, always, but if you are just garbage and you can't get your reload in to save your life from there, break it into your workspace. Get the reload done, slap that charging handle, get it going, and drop some lead. Don't die because you tried to do something someone on the internet told you to do. Unless it's me. Unless I told you to do it, because it won't get you killed. Everyone knows that. Now, the tactical reload works a little bit different. Instead of the gun running dry, we still have ammunition and we need to refill the gun because we might be entering a new encounter, we might be running another drill. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. So the way this works is you grab your new magazine that's full of ammunition, slap it together with your old magazine that is running low on ammunition, release, swap them out, and then replace or drop in your dump pouch the old magazine that is running out of ammunition. That way you're topped up and you're ready for all of your LARPing potential fully loaded. A way to make reloads a little bit more fun to practice overall and make them a little bit more challenging and not just the lame, boring, over and over thing is to add some different positions. Try some new moves, if you will. You understand what I'm getting at. So from here, instead of just standing, leaving it up, dropping, reloading, maybe try getting down on one knee. Maybe you could bring it over the shoulder like you're into cover and you need to compress your rifle. Maybe break it into your workspace, go from there. Maybe you're here and maybe you have to drop down on your side and strip the magazine out and go like that. Either way, just mix it up, have fun with it. Don't be boring. No one likes a boring lover. I mean a reload. Zinger. The fourth most important basic is learning correct movement and how to shoot with that movement. So that way you can look really cool, because doing this, really cool. While moving and shooting to some might not be important, because yeah, you're probably right, you'll probably just book it to cover and shoot from there, and you won't have to move and shoot at the same time. But to me, I find it an incredibly important basic to know. Why wouldn't you want to be able to move in any direction you want to and still be able to lay down somewhat accurate fire? Not as accurate as just standing in one place or bench resting, but at least you can put rounds on target and you'll know they'll get there. You want to start out by moving forward and just staying low and slow. Then you work your way moving backwards. Toe, heel, instead of heel, toe. Then from there, you work on going side to side. Now, you wouldn't cross over because that's just gonna get wonky. Let's be honest. We're gonna turn our hips and walk that direction heel toe like we would forward or back, but this time we're gonna keep our upper body pointed towards the target. And we're gonna do the same thing going back the other way. A good way to add a little spice to just practicing moving and shooting is doing drills with it. Maybe doing some Mozambiques or doing a 2-2-4-2-2 drill while on the move. Maybe you do 2-2-4 moving forwards and then you do 2-2-4 moving back. Who knows? Mix it up, have fun with it. That's the key. That's what's gonna keep you practicing and make you deadly. Get serious, but seriously fun. That sounds dumb, but I like it. Finally, the transition. Because we all know it's faster to switch to your chancla than it is to reload. But what are the keys to a smooth transition, might you ask? One, you completely get rid of your friends and family and call them bigots. Wait, wrong thing. You're gonna focus on the movements from your hand, from your rifle to your handgun, as well as getting that rifle down without completely blowing your off like the other transition. Now there's two different methods that you could kind of go with this. One, you can bring it across your body as you get your hand on your handgun. That way it kind of slings across and rests this way, so that way if you go down, your muzzle doesn't end up in the dirt. Luckily, I don't have that problem because I've got a tiny. The second method is getting that rifle just straight down right away, because most likely when you're transitioning, it's an emergency situation. You need to get that handgun out and you need rounds on target. If you're behind cover and your rifle runs out of ammo, but you still have another mag, just reload. That's probably gonna be the better solution. Probably, maybe, just a little gamble. Just a little guess, a little guessaroo, if you will. The thing to focus on is not letting this completely smack you in the junk. I like to lower it just a little bit so it doesn't have that full weight whipping into your crotch. From here, it's letting it down and getting it up. Most of the time, if you kind of push your pelvis outwards, you can kind of stop it on your pelvis before it hits your pee-pee. This is the primary reason why I run a double point sling instead of a single point sling. With the single point sling, this is gonna fling and it's gonna hurt. With a 2 point, it kind of pulls it back towards your body a little bit more rather than letting it dangle down. Lieutenant Dangle. Setting it up like a pseudo single point, you can see how that will swing a little bit more. Where with the 2 point, it kind of just hits against your belt. It helps not having a huge either. If there's anything at all that I'm trying to impart upon you with this lesson, is that the basics are the building blocks and the fundamentals of everything you'll do. You're learning how to spell cat, so later you can spell. Good basics and fundamentals are what separate good shooters from phenomenal shooters. The professionals, the pros, the people that are doing the best and the most elite in the shooting sport are the ones who have solid fundamentals. They have a good stance. They have a good presentation. They're good at their transitions. They're good at swapping their weapons. They've mastered it to a point of thoughtlessness. They can do it without thinking. They don't have to think about their steps because it's so ingrained. That's where I want you to be. So ingrained, so prepared, so ready, so on point that you can't be bested. That's what I want for you. My sweet, sweet little... Anyways, get out there, get training, be dangerous, stay safe. I love you. Goodbye. Cool.